All right, live to tape. We're at one of my favorite places locally and a big sponsor of UNLV Rebel Sports. Host of both the Barry Odom radio show and the Kevin Kruger radio show. So I'm at the district location. By the way, great happy hours here, great late night menu. I can't stay, but on their late night menu, got to shout them out. Pretzel with the beer cheese, just $12. Buffalo chicken egg rolls on the late night menu. This is available after midnight. Remember, they have happy hour 3 to 6, and then late night happy hour. And during happy hour, half price on pizza, half price on apps, and a lot of good drink specials. So, smelling the aroma of the food here at Parkway Tavern, I guess we should go back to the beginning of the last couple weeks. And we apologize. We just got slammed with lots of broadcasts and trips and duties and Thanksgiving and family and all that. So, Broadcaster Bites is back. I know it's an important part of everyone's life. Boy, Colorado Springs, there was some pressure going into that trip against Air Force because I never really had a great time in Colorado Springs. And we did the research. And then we had someone come down from Denver who knows the town. And there was a pretty healthy debate about where we're going to go to dinner on Friday night, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about it. There was a couple of options. And as has become the case on the road with Broadcaster Bites, the closing times of those options plays heavily as a factor in where we can go. Yeah. Unfortunate, but in this case, it didn't turn out to be what doomed the trip. It was actually, we got to go to a pretty good spot. And I think we found a winner in Colorado Springs.
I will tell you, the fight was over. Our friend who was from Denver had a barbecue place that he liked. There were some other joints that we looked up and we liked, but we all had settled on, I think it was because of the, wasn't it because of the rib tips? Is that what it was?
That's what did it. We saw the platter with the rib tips, and we were like, anybody that's saying that they have these smoked rib tips, we have to go. We have to try it. And the portions looked phenomenal online, and they did not disappoint in person.
Front Range Barbecue, and the place is in basically a house with kind of refurbished to be a restaurant.
Yes,
smelled great. Yeah, they had a smoker out front. Kind of the kind of places we like to go to. Kind of divey, small bar. Lots of TVs. You can watch sports. And I got that. I always say that Cheesecake Factory feeling when I saw the menu because I get anxiety and I start freaking out. And then I just order chicken fingers. I refrained from ordering chicken fingers. The menu was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Lots of choices.
It was fantastic. And I think one of the things that also impressed me, and this is, me getting as a restaurant connoisseur, is when a waitress has impeccable menu knowledge. Our waitress came to serve us there, and it felt like it was her house. The way she rattled off all the specials and what was going on and what was good and what was not. She had great recommendations without a pause, like immediately just going off the top of the dome with this stuff, and really helped you. I think she settled your nerves a little bit with her confidence about some of the stuff. I think she helped you. I could see the kind of the stress relief.
Any lack of confidence or pause, because I think it's annoying when people do this, but I try to do it respectfully. Where I try to get down to like 2 items, and I'm like, "What do you like?" And one of the best answers I ever got, right? One of my favorite places locally here in Vegas is Jackson's over on Flamingo and Jones, and we did business with them for a while. I mean, regardless of that, it's just a good local dive bar, and they care about the food. But I remember one of the first times I went there, they had a bartender who didn't last very long there, and I was like, "Hey, between these two things, like, what do you like on the menu?" And he looks at me straight face. He was a very fit guy. And he's like, "I don't eat the crap here." I was like, "What are you doing?" Because you'll get that with servers sometimes. They're like,
I don't
eat it. I don't eat this, so I don't care. But this lady cared. She actually sold me on okra, which turned out to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
But I'll just go with what I got. I got ribs, and we could go on forever on this Broadcaster Bites. I went barbecue heavy on these trips because I also wound up in Florida. But these ribs were good, man. They were I couldn't finish them. I did bring them back. I did eat them at like 1 a.m, cold. But the first helping of it was awesome. I got jambalaya, which was a little different take on jambalaya because it was kind of a soupy type jambalaya. That was good. So my dish was in the 80s on the Pro Foodie Focus scale, like PFF.
Yeah.
And then you guys got completely different stuff.
Yeah.
I think liked it.
Yeah, did I ever? It was I would say I'm just gonna say at the top, it was probably like an 85 on my scale, like from top to bottom portions. Everything about it was fantastic. I had dessert. That's how good it was. And I overstuffed myself with the dessert. And I took pictures of this stuff. So we'll post them up on social media a little bit. You can judge the apple pie that I'm about to talk about for yourself. But I got the tips, the rib tips, the burnt rib tips, I guess, mixed in with some onions, some fried onions on top, which was already just like a immaculate touch. A little bit of crunch with the tenderness of the smoked tips. There's cornbread muffins served with every dish. So you actually ended up getting four, I think. How many did you get? But yeah, you got extras because you ordered the
Dude,
jambalaya as a side.
you don't even want to know. I think I snack. Listen to this one, because I take everything with me. But you know what? I forgot Tupperware on this trip, which is a travesty for this trip. Or
Right.
did I have? No, I didn't. I didn't bring it. Um, those those little cornbread muffins. I think I had. I think I pulled it out of my like equipment bag, half stale, before the Runner Rebels second game in Daytona, and I loved it. It was like crunchy, and it wasn't. It's like it's not supposed to be eaten this way. And I was like, I needed a snack badly
Yeah.
because I will tell you, we'll have a little bit of time to talk about how you get treated in the media, and you get food. The Daytona tournament. One of the big downsides was you went into that little basketball arena in Daytona. They had nothing for you, nothing. So that's why I was like, Front Range Barbecue, kind of stale cornbread muffin. 3 days later, thank you so much.
So yeah, those were fantastic additions. I enjoyed those. They were on my plate too. I think every plate had them. They had the portion controlled southern green beans, which is if you haven't had southern green beans, they're kind of a little bit of a spice to them. It's not just your bland green beans out of a can. They make them thin. They kind of dress them up, season them. It's pretty good. They had a cup of beans with the beef inside. You know me and my beans. I like them hearty. I like the beans to have the meat, preferably biscuit. They had the ground beef mixed into the beans. It was great. The flavor was great. It was fantastic. Everything on the plate was hot, which is a big thing for me. I enjoy having hot food. I knew it was going to be good. One of the indicators was that the food that I ordered said limited supply. So that meant, they're making it for specific hours at a time. And when they run out, it's over. They're not going in the back and make it some more because they have to stick to the formula, probably smoking everything for 13 hours. So it comes out appropriately smoked. It was fantastic. It was amazing. I didn't get the jambalaya, but my portions were so great. I ate my entire plate. I told you I skip the pre-flight meal every time now because I
Yeah,
want to
you
have
were ready.
space. And I have to say, because Mark Wallington gave me the business, I've been saying, and I want to correct myself for the record, I didn't know the official names of the people who gave our pre-flight meals. The
Yes, the
new
food servants.
the nutrition team who hands out the food
Yes,
prior to the fights and after the games. Kennedy Springer and Jelena Lodge, they did a great job,
nice show.
and they have all season long of giving us pre-flight, or at least offering pre-flight and post-game meals that are intended to get the players back, on their carb count and recovery started with their food, making sure they got the appropriate energy. They treat us as well as the media that travels with the team. So they do a great job. The nutrition team do a fantastic job at what they do. They would have approved of the meal because it was very nutritious, very carb heavy. I'm sure they would have approved of the apple pie as well. They had, basic crumble apple pie. If you don't know the difference between that and regular apple pie, it's not none of that laced top layer. It's like crumble, uh, deliciousness. Warm, the pie was still hot, like it just came out of an oven
Wow.
with 2 scoops of plain vanilla ice cream on top. The perfect dessert to finish off that barbecue. I felt like an American. There's nothing more American than barbecue and apple pie. Only thing that could have done better was fireworks on 4th of July. But I think Colorado Springs made a strong statement as far as the foodie focus goes. They brought the noise for the final road game of Broadcaster Bites.
we have to mention the dive bar part of it. And their name is completely ridiculous, but I highly recommend the experience. Is it just Thunder Buttons or is it Thunder and Buttons? It's Thunder and Buttons too. So apparently there's a couple of them. I love that place. Now, aside from you decided to try the chicken wings, and I got to tell you, T and B2, they were pretty raw.
Yeah.
And I could have dealt with whatever was the maple something flavor because it was intriguing. But again, I will repeat all the time in Broadcaster Bites. I have low standards. I will eat stale 3-day-old corn muffins out of a work bag courtside at a basketball game. I just could not do the undercooked wings. And the crazy thing is they almost set the kitchen on fire in doing the wings. And I'm like, we'll finish it. Take down the kitchen for our wings. At least they'll be cooked. They were not cooked. Sorry, guys.
Finish them off. I would have to say this was probably the 50s, low 50s, maybe high 40s.
They're uncooked.
Yeah, they were uncooked.
You give them a 50s.
It was because I say that because the flavor, like you, I didn't the maple flavor was I was intrigued by seeing it on the menu, so I wanted to try it. The spice on I got half spicy and half maple. So the spice factor was great. Like the flavor was fine, and that kind of is what made me finish the third wing. I bit into a couple. I was like, oh, that's not done, and I just kept going because I wanted to give the flavor a chance. But after a while, it's just like, okay, this is ridiculous. They did almost burn the kitchen down, and I think they could have probably thrown the wings back on for a little bit longer. But this place did have the divey feel. The floors were creaking. They were wooden. They had sports on. It felt like it, at home where the service was friendly. She was nice. I think the issue was they were getting ready to close.
I got to shout that out.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that part. I thought that lady was really friendly.
Yes,
I thought she was very cool. And then we chopped it up because we had a friend in from Denver, and we got to watch Deion Sanders get destroyed and blown off the field. I enjoyed that. But that was like a good bar experience. And then on top of it, they had the second floor. They had karaoke. And then some lady we could hear in the distance rips out. This is November 17th. A lady rips out Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You. Wasn't good, but it was the thought because I am a November 1st Christmas person.
Yep.
For me, it lasts 10 weeks, and I applaud her bravado because she got booed.
She got
a little
booed.
bit. People were like, it's too soon.
Yeah.
Like, it's never too soon.
Yeah.
So that bar nailed it for me.
She uniced Mariah Carey. I think when you go to a bar, I think the service you expect is a little different than when you go to a restaurant. And I think personability is important. When I go to a bar, I want to be able to feel like I could just drink with this person. Like you'd be fun to just sit down, have a beer with, enjoy your company, right? Like that's what you look for with a server, I guess, or a bartender. I think that's why a lot of bartenders, I think there's a study out that shows that bartenders actually turn out to be good police officers. I don't know why anybody would care to know that. I have a dual career. I am in law enforcement if people didn't know that.
The study of people.
You understand, because I think that's one of the more important things about policing is that you need to be able to communicate, talk to people, get people to give you information. And if you think about it, people that struggle in life go to bars to kind of decompress and to let their stress go and leave it at the bar top. And the bartenders have savvy with dealing with that as Steve enjoys a nice cold beer.
Steve's so desperate to do a podcast, he couldn't leave the bar.
So there's some bartender right now that's like really into it, trying to egg you on into buying more drinks. Her service at the bar was great. It was freezing cold, and I was toughing it out there. I didn't want to talk about it, but I'm not one for the cold. This bar was a refreshing escape from the cold, so I think that even bumped it up a little bit more. I don't know if drinking in the cold is better than drinking when you're hot. I'm not that big of a drinker, but it felt great that night to enjoy a nice cold one from the warmth of that divey bar.
Well, I feel like we're gonna have to cut this short tonight, and then we'll have a part 2 next week with a lot of material, because this was a varied trip that we were on last week between basketball and football. For the life of me, I cannot remember. Hey, you know what? Salute. Thank you for the service. Air Force, the Air Force Academy. That stadium for food sucks. They offer nothing. And the thing is, you're on a base. It's a fortress. Like, once you're in, we ain't going anywhere. Like, I'm not going around the corner to a convenience store.
Yeah.
They offered a little chain pizza there. I cannot remember what the flight back was like because sometimes we're very lucky and the staff provides some food. Were you the only one who got food?
I got lucky.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
because
right. We were selfish pricks
yes,
and we rushed onto the plane.
right.
You came on with food and we were like, wait, where's the rest of the food?
Nope, it was all gone.
Yeah, that's right. I got nothing, but I deserved nothing for my behavior.
So there was a snafu, not a snafu. It was we have a rental vehicle that we bring onto the tarmac, but this airport we had to park it. So I'm the driver usually on the road. I'm the designated driver most of the time. Trusted to get us to and from the airport. Big honor. But so I drove it on and they wanted us to park it in a specific spot. So we dropped you guys off, unloaded the bags. So I drove to park and it was, a considerable walk away. So you guys just went on and boarded the plane. So I stayed out in the cold after parking and just kind of went with the buses. Turns out there was extras underneath the bus.
Well, now the travel season is just about over.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that truck
carries
the cornucopia. Yep,
yes.
That carries the goods. So we should have been freaking trailing that truck all the time, helping them unload stuff.
Yeah.
And just grabbing the vittles right there, the extra vittles.
So I ended up, this is the first time on the plane flight home that I got the food. And it was great because it was after an Air Force win. Things were looking up. I knew in the back of my head, I didn't say it publicly, that the Rebels had basically locked up a spot in Mountain West Championship game with that win. And I was excited to enjoy it. So I enjoyed a good half of it. And I didn't finish the rest of it until the next day when I got home. So it was fun. I will say, you commented on the Air Force Stadium food. Mark's menu. We'll preview this and maybe we'll get deeper into it.
Let's do that. Let's do this to close out.
Okay.
San Jose State, because I'll get to the whole Daytona thing because that's my story to tell, and then we'll talk about what happens.
It's my story to tell.
Well, it is. I mean, we're gonna have to bring on. Well, I didn't mean that way.
I know. It's funny.
I will tell you. I will give a tease. The Deshaun Henry and the Running Rebel food after the trip. Oh, unreal. But anyway, this the breakfast meal for the media before San Jose State. Very good with some high points, but maybe one of the lowest points we've seen all year in a menu choice.
I don't know if anyone else has heard of a tofu breakfast scramble.
Oh, my God.
But it is what it sounds like it is. Let's just say that.
Yep.
I don't know that I'd ever been more disappointed when opening up one of those dishes than to see that even what I pictured it would be. Like, I pictured most vegan food kind of tries to imitate what it's saying, like a scramble. Like, everybody kind of knows what a scramble looks like, right? Yeah. The eggs mixed in with some potatoes and, fixins. This was like just cubes of tofu, neatly stacked like Legos, with some other breakfast goods that were not.
There was a little bit of spinach in there.
Yes.
And I will actually say there were tomatoes in there that had, I think they were tomatoes, or maybe I don't know, maybe they were peppers, but whatever it was, they were delicious. That was the topping, the garnish. I grabbed a bunch of that. I'm like, I didn't tell you. I had the tofu.
You're a brave
I'll post the plate. It was worse than it looked.
Oh, God.
And it looked horrific. There was nothing to it because tofu is designed to kind of absorb the flavor of the dish.
Yeah.
It didn't absorb crap.
It was
awful. The worst vegetarian, vegan option they've had all year. And it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't scrambled. I expected to be diced and scrambled and like lots of vegetable. It was just freaking giant cubes of gelatinous, rubbery tofu.
God, look, I appreciate the food, and this is jokes. It's jokes. It's not for me, and no vegan food is, but that especially, that's probably the reason, because that's what like vegan food was when it first came out. Like, that's what you got. It was like they didn't even try to look like meat. It was like, it is what it is. So I was reminded of that time, and it brought back a traumatic era when I tried those things. I did not like what I tasted, but I got that out of the way. The rest of Mark's menu for the breakfast, fantastic. There was eggs, There was home fries or seasoned potatoes, however you like to say them, depending on what you say or where you're from. They with bell peppers and peppers in them. Of course, those who are true Southerners and know how to do home fries know that you have to have peppers in them for them to be considered home fries. Had eggs, bacon, not the best, crispiest bacon, but it was a thin slice. So you understand bacon in any form is good. And that just goes to show that I'm, fat. But they also had chicken and waffles. Um,
Oh,
not fried chicken like the wings or anything like that. They had chicken fingers, which actually were very good chicken fingers for chicken finger standards. The waffles as well, and they had syrup to put the syrup on there. So there was a large breakfast assortment. Also, I saved this for last. They had scrambled eggs. Now, this brought up a point of contention for me. I love a good scrambled egg. I make my own scrambled eggs in a very particular way. I add seasoning. Typically, when you get eggs in a buffet style format, they're pretty bland and flavorless. So I have adapted on these occasions when I anticipate blandness from the eggs, the habit of putting ketchup on my eggs.
oh, wow, that got controversial.
I was threatened with being disbarred from the Broadcaster Bites uh panel.
I actually kind of agree with this. I'm not a ketchup person.
See, this
I
is
think
the
it's a
thing.
low. I think it's a low level condiment, last resort type of thing. Like actually, you know what? It's not even a last resort because I needed something for some of the food, and I just like grabbed salsa, and which in essence is sort of similar, but it's not.
Yeah.
But you
So
like
this
ketchup? Good for you.
this is a thing.
Sucks.
It's really a thing that has developed over my life because I wasn't always like this, Steve. And it maybe sparks another debate too, because I think the shift happened when I became a ketchup in the refrigerator person. This has sparked a lot of debates as well in my life because there is a debate as to whether ketchup should be stored in a cabinet or in a refrigerator. I grew up in my childhood with ketchup in the cabinets or in the cupboards. So it was always warm. My wife introduced me to ketchup in the refrigerator. After she introduced me, and her logic was it says on the bottle, once opened, keep refrigerated.
Yeah, yeah,
Nobody pays attention to that. I think they make their own
yeah.
decisions. But there was something to me about the combination of cold ketchup on hot scrambled eggs that just worked. And it happened
All
by
right.
accident,
Yeah.
but I kind of stuck with it. And it's become a thing when I don't anticipate the eggs are seasoned the way that I want them to be with extra fixings. I put green onions, I put salt, pepper, obviously. Sometimes I'll put a dab of Tabasco sauce. But I really get into like making my eggs when I make them at home
That's good.
flavorful. So when I know that there's not, you can look at them and see this is going to be kind of bland. It's not a problem with bland eggs. They have a kind of natural flavor, but I like to enhance them a little bit. And ketchup is just the easiest way to do that. And so it's become a thing for me. And
Yeah.
the food listeners can let me know if this is an egregious sin or if it's just a kind of quirky,
I've
kinky
never.
habit.
You know, it's funny. I've never even thought of it because we were always as a family a refrigerated ketchup person, but my parents didn't really like ketchup. Therefore, I don't like ketchup. So all it is for me is it gets opened for guests at a barbecue, and then it gets refrigerated, and then just goes bad. And we just constantly throw out. I feel so bad for people who really need food. We constantly throw out bottles of ketchup. We will wrap this one tonight. So here's what's coming up next week. I will recap Daytona with the basketball team. We'll recap Mark's menu at Allegiant, but we're kind of tighty here. When we do the podcast next week, I will be recording with you from Dayton, an old school Ohio City, and I will try again. It's not even try. I will get one of the most debated fast food meals in the world. In the world. And that is Skyline Chili.